Hi, we are here for Close Out Part 10. I have Tyler with me tonight. He's not actually with me yet. If you give me just 1 second, and I'm going to send him the link. Tyler has a really amazing story. He did a lot of time in jail. I don't like to tell too much of his story. If you guys just give me 1 second so I can get everywhere set up and get his link sent.
I don't want to live here. Neither does he.
Okay, so just give me a minute. Tyler should be with us soon. Hi Leah. I sent him the link, the text message. I'm trying to get the email to load. What is going on? I don't know if my internet's lagging. It is raining here. Sometimes that affects it. Give me just a second. Oh, this is not going good at all. For anybody watching, I guess in the meantime, I'll just talk a little bit about me. I'm really excited. Hi, Mike. Oh, here's our guest. Here we go. I'm starting to get nervous. I couldn't get it to load. Hi.
Hello.
So, all right. We have Tyler with us tonight. Tyler is, he's in recovery from addiction. He's going to tell you a little bit about his story. Tyler, if you can start anywhere you want, and then we'll just kind of, we'll ask questions. People, if anybody's watching, anyone who has comments or anybody and wants to know, answer anything that he's comfortable with. Everybody, as always, feel free to drop the questions at any time. Hi. Somebody said hi on Facebook. It doesn't always show me the names if you guys are on like my Facebook profile. There's Trinity. Hi, sweetie. Trinity is actually going to be on my show tomorrow night, and she's super nervous too. We were just talking about it. No reason to be nervous. No, I am not a professional. I get on here and just now I was waiting on you to show up, and I was like I wasn't talking, and then I have to always remind myself, like, say something. People are waiting. So don't be nervous. I do goofy stuff. My very first live, I did not connect the chat, and the whole time I was like super upset because I was like, nobody's watching. Like, people said they were gonna watch me, and people were watching. Oh, James, there you are.
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
yeah, so I feel like my addiction started when I was younger. I got put on Adderall at the age of between 5 and 7. Um, like I said earlier, like I I went through traumas as a kid. I've been through physical and sexual abuse as a growing up, and didn't really talk about it. And then because I got diagnosed ADHD, I got put on Adderall and Ritalin. My mom met my dad, and he's the one that actually took me off. But actually, like all my problems didn't start until about high school. So that's when I started experimenting with drinking and smoking weed and gangs and all that. And like all of it really started once I graduated high school. That got into smoking meth, selling it, and everything else. So once I got arrested at the age of 18 and got sent to prison, that's where it all started. It's where I started really getting into more organized crimes and everything. Like I thought everything was a game at the beginning because like I really didn't happen to me or what happened to anybody else. And that was where that was the weird part because I never got raised to be in that lifestyle. Like my mom and all of them raised me to be respectful, to listen and everything else. Like I came from a good background. Like my family was law enforcement or military. So my mom seen me go through the things that I've gone through hurt her more than I thought it hurt me more than it hurt her, but it hurt her more because a lot of it, a lot of the stuff that I put her through, where it was, how do I put it? Like I always have my mom calling around hospitals, morgues, or jails, prisons when she didn't hear from me.
Yeah, and we
So when I
don't
got out,
realize, and I'm sorry, like I don't mean to cut you off, but we don't
oh, it's
realize
all
in the
good.
madness. Like I literally remember being 19 years old in jail, mad at like the world because I was in jail because I was not allowed to be a heroin addict. I literally said like I'm 19 years old with no kids and no responsibilities. Who am I hurting? And like why shouldn't I like because we don't realize that like we are really hurting people even though we think we're not, like we think, oh, it's just the victimless crime, or it's like I thought I was only hurting myself, but like we really do, and things like that, like in ways that we don't realize, like your mom worried sick, how many late nights and calling hospitals did she spend not knowing if you were going to come home, and how many times was that a realistic belief for her, and you could have really not came home, because of the things that you were doing. So like we don't realize that stuff. We're selfish.
Yeah, yeah. Like right, like now, my mom gets times where she'll come, like if I'm asleep, and she won't come in, but
Hi Pam.
she'll come and lean against my bedroom door when it's closed and cry because she had dreams that I've been shot in the face in front of her or that I overdosed. And happen to hear about it when she does tell me, it does bother me because like it hurts, having your mom still having nightmares, even though you're doing good, like me being sober now, she still goes through them
Hmm.
because of all the stuff that she did witness when what I did when she was around me at those times, or when she came and visit me with the kids over in areas that I was doing like in my addiction. It pretty much she's seen like me pull weapons. She's seen me hurt people. Like I even did it to my own. Like everybody thinks that you don't do it to your own family in addiction, but you do. Like
Yeah.
there's times I put knives to my dad's neck, multiple like three different times, and that caused mine and his relationship to be basically. We didn't have a relationship at the time because he was hurt, But
Yeah.
in the process, I didn't see I did anything wrong because I was high.
Nope.
And like my first term, I did a year and then got out on parole and then went back again 10 months later for my second assault charge. Um, but it was back. It was like I said, it was back and forth for the last 12 to 20 years. In and out of incarceration, being in the streets, being homeless, selling drugs, and like it's just like the first time I ever chose to be sober willingly. The other
It,
four times it was forcefully.
it's different. It's so much different. Like, it's crazy to me how like the things that I would cry and whine about before, like when I would be forced to go to meetings or just talk about recovery or talk about my feelings or my past, my trauma, especially. Like, I would be so upset, like, how dare, somebody try to help me. And now, now that we want it, like, we're just so open. And so, this is what I am, that's my whole thing is I'm going to be completely open about everything that I've done, so that people know they're not alone, and that they can, you can recover too. Like, I've done the shit.
Yeah, like my DLCs were meth, heroin, and fentanyl, but a lot of people think it's just a drug addiction. That addiction is just, or being an addict is just a drug, and it's not. Being an addict is anything that you use for a certain amount of time to form a habit, And a lot of people don't believe in other things as like me. Like I'm addicted to violence, and that's one of the main struggles right now. Even being sober is like I'm in IOP, so I do 4 days a week for 3 hours in the evenings, and we just had a big discussion on my violent tendencies just a few days ago, and everybody, I shared it with them because yeah, you're in recovery, so you have to sit there and put it that you have to be in recovery for everything, not just the drugs, because it's not what recovery is about. It's about changing everything in your lifestyle.
Yeah. And,
So when I
go ahead.
go ahead,
No,
so
people
when I
are
sat
addicted
there,
to I'm so sorry. People are addicted to, like, gambling and shopping and sex. Like, addictions are very real, and they don't always have, just because drug addicts are the biggest, like, that's the biggest thing that people talk about, because, they like to hate on us and say we're pieces of shit, I'm sure. But but it's the biggest thing, it's the biggest
yeah,
addiction that's talked about. But yeah, and in addition to that, like, not only do you have to work on all your other addictions, but, like, you have to work on yourself when you get clean. It's not just about, I said this before on here, like, it's not just about staying sober, like, and especially because a lot of us, our life is in shambles. Like, when we first get clean, like, so it's so easy to want to use again, because everything is a mess, and we have to, like, fix our whole life, and plus, deal with our anger and our trauma and the shit that we don't want to deal with. Like, it's a lot.
yeah. Like so my last term I got out from was October 12th of 2020. I got out from everything. I didn't have no paper. I didn't have no parole, no nothing. I violated parole just right before that. I went back and got out, and like it was different because before I went in, before that, fentanyl wasn't around. And when I got out, I seen how people acted on it, and I was really against it at first. And then I had a situation where I had a friend that I thought she smoked Percocets. Me and her are real close. Like my mom knows who she is, and my mom didn't know anything about like what happened with her until just recently because it started bothering me, and it's about that time, around that time, like it happened in 2020. And it's the fact that I was only out a month being around her, and like she's really the only one that wrote me while I was in prison besides my family. And I thought she was smoking a Percocet, and I didn't know that what blues were had fentanyl in them. I didn't know anything about it. Like I said, they were coming out right as I was getting out. So when I was getting high and she was getting high, I was an IV user for methamphetamines and heroin. So that's what I got high on. But I didn't know that she was smoking a fentanyl pill at the time. And when she fell asleep laying next to me, and then like while we're homeless, and I was the one to go wake her up because I knew the cops are going about to come in that area and kick everybody out. When I went to go wake her up, she never got up. And that's what turned me into addict for fentanyl, is because like the pain so much of leaving someone so close to you, and someone that you spend a lot of your time with. Like people don't understand, like it's like, even though we have a chance of losing our life in that addiction, but they don't see how it is when, I don't know how to put it, like you're in the same situation as them, even though you're not using the same drug, but it affects you even more, and you go deeper into a spiral. And that's when I started using it, because after that I started selling it, and then from selling it I started using it, like just smoking with like a couple hits here and there, and then smoking half a pill or a pill with somebody, and then start using it myself. And like my first overdose is after me and my mom got into it back in 20 and 20, the ending of 22, beginning of 23.
Hold
I
on.
had five
I'm
overdoses.
sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to be clear. You are is talking about smoking a fentanyl pill, like that somebody gets prescribed to them, or
No,
are they
so
being like laced?
they were the ones that are in the street now. Like I didn't. I thought I knew Percocets. They're little small blue pills.
Hmm.
I didn't know they were like the fake, like the street made ones had fentanyl in them at the time.
Oh, so like people are pressing fentanyl pretty much and selling it for. Okay, okay, I'm with you. All right.
Yeah.
So
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 that
your
like I
girlfriend
said,
that you're you
yeah.
I'm sorry, the
No, it
girlfriend that
wasn't.
you lost.
Yeah, we weren't even. Yeah, we weren't even together. We're just like everybody thought we were because how we were with each other, but like we never messed around. We like, but we slept next to each other all the time. Like we were always around each other, and that's why everybody got
I can
the
see.
idea of us dating, and we weren't. We were just that close, so we were just real good friends.
Well,
And she
and
did
people
lose.
that like when you're living that lifestyle, like if you're homeless on the streets, you need somebody like, and it doesn't have to be, a romantic or sexual partner, like, but you need somebody to have your back. Like you said, like the cops are coming, wake up, or hey, this soup kitchen's
Yeah,
serving dinner tonight, or just whatever, you need somebody to have your back. So it's important. I can
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So it was like I lost a girlfriend in high school due to a car accident before I was even using anything, and like that, yeah, that hurt. But losing my friend that died next to me on an overdose, and you couldn't tell, it hurts even worse. Even, and we're not even together. That's what I said. Like, yeah, someone can mean something to you, but when you have someone that means so much to you, like family or more, it hurts. And that's what got me started in my addiction with fentanyl, is losing her. And because like I said, I thought she was smoking a Percocet. I didn't know she was smoking fentanyl.
Did she know? Do you think?
Yeah, she knew. Like I supported her habits, so like because like I said, went back to selling drugs after I got out of prison my last term,
Right.
like I always did, and like I always gave her everything, so she didn't have to. Because I'm against like when women that go out and sell themselves. I'm really against it because of all the consequences they have. They're like they don't know if they can come back. They don't know if that's gonna be the last time they see anybody, or if they
Absolutely.
ever can get out the card. So I was really against like my friends doing
Hi,
prostitution.
still
So keeping
here.
her from doing that, yeah. So keeping her from doing that, I supported her drug habit. I made sure I got what she needed and what I got to sell, and like. So I thought it was just Percocets because I'll give her the cash and she'll go get them from somebody. Like I never went with her on that. Like we were together all the time, but when time came to like me to have to go sell drugs or
Thanks so much.
me having to go do something in
I'm
or
so
me having to
sorry.
go do something. That's all good. Like, or me have to go put work in for what I was involved in. You know what I mean? That's when we separated at the times, and we'll meet back up later after I had to do everything I had to do. And like that night, like we lived underneath the bridge in Phoenix in one of the overpasses of the freeway. So that's where everything happened. And then I got to the point to where everything in Phoenix is like when I was high, I started thinking about like sitting by myself a lot, thinking like I didn't want to get high no more. But in the time, like I was in the streets and then either running from parole or running from pending charges, and then a situation happened where something happened and I did something I wasn't supposed to, and I needed to leave state to to stop from being prosecuted. So I called my mom, and she bought me my bus ticket to come here to Utah. And like, she never asked any questions, and she's very supportive. My mom's like one of my biggest supporters here in sobriety. And what even when I was in my addiction, she was still supportive, but she just hesitant on a lot of stuff that she did.
Yeah.
So when I got here to Utah in 2022, like I tried to get sober, like, but it was like I didn't want to, like I did, but I didn't. But at the time, I don't think I was ready because I was always involved in the same shit. And I tell people, no matter where you go in life, if it's another state or anything, and you're not ready to change, the drug is always going to find you, or you're always going to go find the drug.
Oh yeah, you can find
No
it.
matter, yeah, but it's got it's like it's it's hard to say because when I left Arizona, where I knew where everything was or where to go, and I came to Utah and started living here. At first, I really didn't see it because I wasn't even looking for it, and then I started getting those cravings, and then it's like, and when I got cravings, I always fight with my family because I just want to take off and go get high, and that's what I did. Me and my mom got into arguments, and I I ended up leaving to Seattle, and before I even left to Seattle, I was getting high here. Drove to Seattle, started getting high up there again, and like I don't know, like basically I let relationships from addiction bring into my family, which I never done. And that time I did, I went like against my rule. Even like my mom would tell me like, "Hey, I don't think you should do this." And just because she was telling me that and I wanted to do it, I kind of rebelled against her what
Yeah.
she wanted me to do and started doing it anyways, which got her upset. And like I started breaking my agreements with her about what I was supposed to be doing. And like I was working two full-time jobs, and I quit my jobs just to go get high, like. And then that's when my overdose started and was in Seattle on fentanyl. And like I always told, like, people always told me about them, but I'm like, well, wouldn't that get you to stop if you had your overdose, like knowing that you could have died? But I couldn't really understand what they were talking about because I never done it. And when my first overdose happened, like I was in denial of it. Like I told the paramedics and everything, like, no, that's not true. I didn't overdose. There's something else. And then the second one happened. And then the second one happened. It's like I was still in denial. Like, yeah, I don't think that was it. The third one happened. It kind of like I broke down in the hospital. Like I started crying because it started clicking in. The fourth time, like, didn't even phase me. And then my fifth overdose, it scared me a lot because they gave me the max Narcan dosage they can give you. And went like, that was like the only first time I ever had an experience, like out of body experience. Like I watched the paramedics and the cops work on me. And
Mm-mm.
like, and that's like, but in my mind, like now I understood why everybody that overdosed off opiates, like you don't get it. But after that fifth overdose, like I was thinking to myself, like, wouldn't this get me to stop? And then right as I got to the hospital again off that, I went back and got high on it again.
Yeah, I know. I remember like in my addiction saying stupid shit like I want to be so high, like I want to get good and high, like fall out high, and I'm doing that in quotes for people that can't see. Like stupid shit. Like you think like like a normal brain says, "Oh, this almost killed me. Let's not do that." And hi Nicole. But but not us as addicts. We're like, "Oh, it almost killed me. Let's do it some more." Your mom is actually watching. I wanted to let you know that, or listening. She's listening in on Podbean, and she said that you're working very hard to stay clean and do the right thing. So I wanted to just say that she is watching and supporting you. And I know you said
Yeah,
you put her
I let
through
her.
it, but
Yeah, I talked to her right before I got on with you, and I was like, oh, she was like, when is it gonna start? I said, it's this is when it's gonna start. Like it's about to start right now. And she goes, okay, good luck. And but like I said, my mom, like I love my mom so much. And what scares me is that I know like her health is bad, and I have friends that lost their family, and I seen how bad. And like I said, my mom, like I love my mom so much. And what scares me is that I know like her health is bad, and I have friends that lost their family, and I seen how bad. And like I said, my mom, like I love my mom so much. And what scares me is that I know like her health is bad, and everything goes wrong, and that's what I'm scared of. It's like when my mom's not here, because my mom's like my best friend. She's not just my mom, she's like my best friend, and I can always talk to her no matter what I go through, and she won't judge me on it. And it's like I just can't. I'm not ready for that day there for where she has to go, and you know, like she's my biggest supporter, and she's been telling me because she's been through my. There's that almost 6 months right now. I've been sober. I'll be next Friday. It'll be 6 months,
Congrats.
and she's always been there. So she wants to go with me when I get my 6 month chip, which I think it'd be even more a big experience for me because like I've always tried to keep everything away from my mom or away from my family or away from my nephews. And then like this last time I was in jail, like my first violation this year, I got in February. I got out in March. I was out 28 days until I violated again. And then they reinstated me and gave me 60 days. And like I remember being in jail this last time, like both times, and I call her like, hey mom, I'm not gonna get high no more. Can you help me? And she's like, she's like, no, you're gonna have to do this on your own. I'll be there to support you, but no, I'm not. I want you to see you to do it on your own. You need to prove everything that you're saying is gonna be true. And like, I get why she said that. Like, she gets it because when I got out in March, like, first thing I did was go and get. Like, I met someone down the street from the jail and got what I needed to get high. And it's like, and in my head, it's like, fuck, you know? And, but I went straight back to the same shit. And like, I didn't even go check in, like, I didn't even check in with probation. And I just took off right off the rip, like I usually did, and started back in the street and everything else. And like, I got picked up again. I had my parole off, like the probation officers and the gang task are the ones that caught me this last time. And like, but I felt like it was kind of set up because the people I sold to, like they never got touched. And like, I knew better than sit where I was sitting because in that whole area, I knew what it was. And like where we were sitting next to was like a cop stop. And I'm like, and I'm telling them in my mind, I'm like, these motherfuckers can't be for real. And I ended up telling them, I said, hey, we can't sit right here. We have to go back further. And they're like, no, we're good right here. I said, dude, that's a cop shop right here. Go, no, it ain't. It's just the park rangers. I said, all right, whatever. But I went against my
Your
like even
gut.
my own code.
Yeah.
I went against my own code and sat right there and sold to them what I had left. And like I fell asleep from being high. And when I wake up, like the dude, like I was like, okay, where's my money? And they're like, oh, we gave it to dude to go get more. I said, so you just bought the pills for me and gave my money to someone else. So I planned that sit right there until they got back. That dude got back, and but I was standing up at the time, leaning against the bench, smoking a pill, and all I hear on intercom was like, "You're trespassing. Quit smoking." And I'm like, "Fuck." And then I could try to pick up. I thought I drew everything down off of me, and I didn't. I put the pill in my pocket and the the paraphernalia in my bag and went to go walk out the back way. They told me to go back the other way. And I'm like, so they made it to where they met me at the entrance of where we were. And like usually I would run. No matter what, I would always run. And this time I didn't even run. It was like I knew I was caught and I just didn't care no more because like I said, at
Yeah.
times I was tired of getting high,
Enough.
and
Yeah.
that was basically it. Like when like I didn't even run like I had someone hold my stuff in case I got out when I knew I wasn't. I thought I was going to prison. But they reinstated me and put me in drug treatment. And then when I so that whole 2 months I was in, I was call my mom once a week, and I was like, "Hey, can I come stay with you after I get out and get sober and or until I get into treatment?" And she always told me no. Like I'll help you with anything, but you need to do this on your own. And if I look back at it now I see why she said it. She wanted to see I had to prove to her that I was gonna do what I said I was gonna do. Like like I'm not gonna lie, like the day I got out, they wanted to I had to go to a detox center, and the detox center out here doesn't allow you in unless you're high. So I used like 3 pills the day I got out, and then that same day I went to go check in at the end of the day with into a detox center, and that's when that's why my sobriety date's not the 27th of May, it's the 28th, the day after I got out. So I went to detox and entered my first program at it's called First Steps House. Started in there, was doing good, but I didn't know like violence was one of my addictions at the time. Like I thought it just because of the being in the lifestyle and everything else. And I made a threat of violence to a staff member and another client. And then they kicked me out, went back to the detox center to get into another program. And like I always got told like you got to find the right program that you're going to go to. And I believe that because the first program, yeah, it was all right, but didn't like some of the stuff that they taught. The second program I went to, I ended up walking out after 12 days because people were getting high on bath salt inside the facility. And like my mom had to come pick me up on the like twice. Like she picked me up on a Friday and took me back on a Saturday and had to turn around, come back again and get me because I walked out. And then I went back to the VOA, Volunteers of America, for detox, and because I wasn't detoxing and I had so much sobriety under me already, they wouldn't allow me to stay there no more. So I got into a homeless shelter, and I was in the shelters long enough, and I got into what I'm going to now, which is called the Utah Harm Reduction Coalition, and it's an outpatient. They go based off your off the what you tell them, like what treatment you want, like whatever you say in your assessment is
Cool.
what you get. And I've been there so far almost a little over 2 months, and it's one of the best. That's actually the best program I've ever been in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so like harm reduction is really good. Like, I know a lot of people, there's a lot of a stigma around it because they do the needle exchange and they distribute Narcan and stuff like that. But like you said, like everybody's like program is different. Everybody's pathway is different. Some people like NA, some people like AA. Dude, I personally think NA and AA are outdated, and people please don't come for me. These are just my opinions. But like that's why I've stressed. I don't know if you've ever seen or if you've seen any of my episodes where I talk about I have a friend of mine that wrote a book. It's called The Flip Side, Different Sides of the Same Coin. And he goes under the like writer handle or whatever, the Dopeless Fiend, and it's like a collection of recovery like stories and stuff, and then he ties it with scripture, and it's like a little, it's like a new little updated version of something that, and I wholeheartedly believe that it's going to do big things because we need a refresh. We need like refreshing literature. But anyways, I'm getting off on something else. But like, yeah, so harm reduction, they do, like they follow you, like what like it's your life, your recovery. And like, I know that we as addicts don't always know what's best for us, but once we get clean and get into our right mind, like we know what we want to do. And even when we're not, like like harm reduction, giving out needles and stuff, like it, man, like we're still
Like
people, and it cuts down HIV and hepatitis and stuff. Like if people are gonna get high anyways, I mean, no, I'm not saying help them do it, but I think harm reduction is
I
great.
see it, I see it as like with like the program I'm in. The main one of the main things they do besides treatment is needle exchange
Mhm.
and all that, and they go all over like where I'm at. They go from
They have like a little vein or
Tooele,
little
Ogden. Yeah, they have the like little places they always go, and it's like I don't see it as a bad thing. Even like maybe the government and society may see it as a bad thing, but if you actually look at it, you're saving someone's life doing it because like I have Pepsi. I'm almost done with my treatment. I got like 12 days left on it, and then hopefully it's cured. And I know it will be. I've been doing everything I need to, and but it's not just that. It's like they'll give you like not just needles, but they'll give you like devices that they'll give you like boxes that you like a needle dispensary, like
Yeah.
you put your dirty needles.
Yes. I
And
just
like
learned
when
about
in my
that. That's really cool. Like a
yeah,
dirty
so in my
needle container.
addiction, like in my addiction, like I hung around like everybody like doesn't get it. Like, yeah, addicts hang around by schools, like in the alleys by the schools, or they hang out at the parks. And I seen a lot of like even in my addiction, and still now to this day, and today it gets me even more upset since I'm sober than I wasn't when I was using, because they throw the needles on the floor, and most of them, the time, yeah, they're capped, but yeah, sometimes that they're not capped. And by being around parks or neighborhoods or schools or libraries or gas stations, and you got to understand, kids go to those areas a lot. And what would it be like if a kid were to sit late, like pick up a needle and accidentally stick themselves, and where they can they can contract Hep C,
Or
they can
HIV.
contract HIV, and that's like, and that's what I don't get. And it's like the government gets mad about it, but why get mad if we can give them the tools to make sure that they can dispose of their syringes the right way, or sit there and give them something so they can stop, like have a high percentage of stopping the spreading the stuff like that in anything in type of society. But in the end, it's like, yeah, I know it's like you're still letting them use, but we can't force no one to get sober. That's the part that I learned. You can't Someone can't force you to do anything you don't want to do, because we're all our own person and we got our own choices. It's gonna be the choice. Yeah, your family can sit there and tell you anything you want while you're in addiction. But if you don't got that change in your heart or in yourself to want better, it's you can't do it for no one else. Like, I was always trying to do it for someone else, and it didn't work, because that means I wasn't ready in my own heart. I wasn't ready to fix myself. And so now that I see it, is that you got to let that, yeah, you can try to sit there, and it's like they're saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So you can try to steer somebody in the right direction to get sober, but it's going to be on them to actually go out and put in all the work.
Yeah.
The
Because it's a
states,
lot of work.
it is like, like people ask me like, why'd you get high? I said, well, at first it was just something to do, but there's a song I found while I was in prison from Joe Nestor. It was called Story of an Addict. And that's a song that do have to listen to every day. Every morning when I get up, I have to listen to that song to remind me, like, hey, this is what you're going through and this is what you need to do. Because that in that song, in the beginning of the song, it tells people, he tells people, like, you sit there and use something so much you just start to form a habit. By the next time you know, you become an addict. And what he says about him going to treatment, I was that way. I never really opened up in treatment at first, because like I thought, like, how can I trust somebody if, like, it's like when you're in an addiction, you don't trust nobody because you're always paranoid. Coming out of addiction, you have I at first I didn't realize it, but then I started opening up after I got to a certain therapist, and she let me know. She like kind of explained it more. We use is what's masking our traumas, our pains, or anything that we're going through. We're gonna mask it so we didn't have to deal with it at that time. My mom even told me this, and my mom's never been in treatment. She's never, like, she's been a good person most of her life. And yeah, she made mistakes, but she tried to teach me those mistakes. You know what I mean? Learning from her mistakes. And I didn't want to listen. And that's what a lot of my problem was.
Mhm.
I thought I knew everything growing up. I didn't want to listen to anybody because everybody was always wrong, even though they already been through everything.
Right.
And now that I see, I was masking the pain. Like, there's stuff that I need to talk about, and that's why proud to be in treatment. And like everything my mom was telling me when I was younger is actually happening nowadays. And she's
Mama
like,
was right.
yeah, she always tells me, she goes, "Well, you should have listened to me when you were younger. None of this would have happened." Like, all
You're
right,
right,
yeah, you're
mom.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. And still to this day, she still tells me certain stuff, and I'm like, I gotta, but I don't know why she's right. But in the back of my head, I'm like, all right, I gotta go. But it's only like confirming of what I'm thinking is like what she's saying is right. It's not like I don't believe her or
Yeah.
I'm not gonna listen to her. It's that I always want a second opinion about stuff,
I
and
hate to
that's
be
like,
wrong, like myself. I'm never wrong. I know best. I know it all, and and I don't,
yeah. So like I like I run into all like just going from my mom's house to like Murray. So I'll go from Provo to Murray every Monday to Thursday to go to class in the evening. But like when I get it to like Murray, where I can take the train to my treatment center, I no matter where I go, I can take 5 steps and know anybody I used to sell dope to, or anybody I got high with, or anybody I knew from the street. And the ones that really know me, they know what I look like. But a lot of people, like I told my therapist today, a lot of people don't recognize me because I am sober and I don't act the way I used to act.
Right.
Or they do recognize me and they ask me, well, where you been at or what are you doing? I told them, hey, look, I'm sober, and I got a couple friends that sit at the track station down the street from my treatment center. And like, I wanted to cry the other day, the past couple of times I went over there Wednesday and Thursday because there's a friend I had that's where I'm real close to, and he sits in that area and smokes like in the open. And I'm like, I see like the past couple of days I seen him. I was like, hey, so when are you gonna get sober? I said, dude, it sucks seeing you out here. It's like you're gonna end up dying out here, like a couple other people that we knew. And he goes, yeah, and I can see it in his face that when I tell him that how I feel about and how I worry about him, it does hit him. It does make it to where he I can see it in his eye he wants to, but I don't want to push him so much that he's just gonna sit there and get depressed enough where he's gonna use and then overdose.
Yep.
But I like the couple of people down the street, like I'll do, hey, let's go to the store real quick when I have food stamps or if I have extra money, I'll go get him something to drink and eat. So at least I know they did have something, to eat for at the time, like, but
That might be all they had to eat that whole day or maybe a couple days, like
yeah, and because I've been through it,
yeah.
like when like I became homeless in 2013 after me and my ex-wife had a real. I went back to prison, and because I wasn't doing anything, like I walked out of my own son's life because I chose to get high and I chose to be in the streets, and I was always trying to blame it on my ex-wife because she always wanted to argue. But actually going through like this last 6 months and thinking when I'm with a clear head instead of something clouding my judgment, like I can't get mad at her no more. And it made me feel like shit, realizing like looking back at that time and realizing like what I was putting her through, what I was putting my son through, what I was, like what type of person would sit there and put someone they're supposed to love and say they love and said they're a father, but they can't even be there for their son or their kid or their spouse because they rather go in the streets and bang on people and get high and sell drugs and commit crimes and getting chances going back to prison. And that's not someone that's supposed to show the affection that those people need.
Right.
And looking back for the last almost 6 months and realizing that it like it hurts now. Like I said, I love that person. And instead of being in there and taking care of that person like I was supposed to, I was always disrespecting them, always starting arguments to have a chance to walk away to get high or promise something that I couldn't keep. You know, like a lot of people don't get that now. And like people don't get like you're causing trauma to yourself and plus others on top of it when you're doing that. And at the time, I thought it was like I tried to blame her because it was always her fault. Like I didn't do anything. She always started the argument, but she started. bitching at me because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to, and she did it because she was telling me how she feels, and I took it the wrong. Like I made it a excuse to go get high,
Yeah.
and that's why I see a lot nowadays. Like people that are getting high and have their kids. Like I don't see a lot of it now, like in this area, but like when I was at Phoenix, I see a lot of people have their kids in the street with them being homeless, and it that made me a lot more aggressive, and that's where a lot of my violence started coming from is stuff like that. Because I think in from my childhood and my traumas from being abused and sexually abused by people from the family, that like I always told myself when I grow up, I'll never let that happen to another female or a kid, and I stick with it, you know. So I think a lot of my aggression comes, but it only comes towards men. So like, but now it just didn't go for that thing. It made it into something a lot completely different. And that's one that's like I don't know. I had a addiction for violence until I got to this treatment, and my old therapist had just left the treatment before she left. She got me to open up about it and everything else. So it's more like now I like to talk about what I'm going through.
So, can you just a little bit explain, like, to people what an addiction to violence might look like? Like, what do you mean when you say that specifically? Like, just so people,
So like addiction to violence.
Mhm.
So like when I was growing up, my mom never taught me to be violent. Like I said, my mom worked in a prison as a correctional officer in Arizona State Prison since I was 5 years old. We left, she
Wow.
quit there, and we moved to California because she met my dad, my stepdad, who adopted me and my brother when I was about 11 years old. So he's been in my life and still in my life at that whole time. So when came back from California to back to Phoenix, Arizona, my mom went back as a nurse for the prison. So my mom's been in the system for about 25 years as um a CO or a nurse. My dad retired as a sergeant from the same prison she worked at that I was in. So the like I never got brought up to be violent. Um but I think the stuff that we see or we live or we experience in our younger years and we get older and then we start doing that same thing, like how people get satisfaction out of a drug, how they like the high, they like the rush and everything else. That's how I get in my when I get violent. I like the the fact that I'm knowing that I'm hurting somebody badly. And I like the fact that and I get it feels like a high. It's just like taking a drug.
And that's what
It's
I was
the
going
it,
for. That was the point that I was trying to make, is that, that just like I was talking about, like sex and gambling and shopping and all the other addictions and violence as well. Like it actually, like it's so real. Like it affects the same way a drug does, and it affects your life. It can ruin your life. I know you also did have a drug problem, but even if you didn't, that addiction alone could be very dangerous and damaging to your life.
yeah, it's like I can't remember what book I read, but I read it just this time in jail, and it was about that. It was about it wasn't it's about addiction, but it's not about just a drug addiction
Hmm.
because people can be addicted by violent gambling, sex, they like shopping or eating disorders
Yes.
or anything that makes you feel good and makes you feel like you have the high from the drug, but it's just a dopamine in our
Adrenaline.
brain that
People are like
releases.
adrenaline junkies.
Yeah, and
Like,
that's another addiction. You know, that's it's just whatever makes the dopamine in your brain release more like the drug does.
yeah.
That's considered an addiction
Mhm.
because and not just it doesn't have to be a drug. It can be anything that you like doing that you can't do or go without doing with so amount of time.
Yep. And like I think like addiction is like and I'm by no means a dictionary here, but I think it's like if you like something is impacting your life negatively and you're continuing to do it, or you can't stop, or something like to that effect. And it's the same thing, like, obviously with violence, like just say that for example, there's jail, and then like you could obviously be injured, you're hurting like the victims' families, your family when you're away, like, it's negatively impacting your life, but yet you couldn't stop.
Yeah, it's like one of the charges I have now was for aggravated assault with seriously bodily injury. And like, yeah, stuff led up to it, but it's the fact that I like the day that the night that all happened and where I stabbed him, like it didn't need to lead up to that. And he didn't say anything or do anything that night for me to stab him. And he was just saying, "What's up, criminal?" Because that's what I went by in the streets, was criminal. That's my nickname in the streets. So when he said, "What's up, criminal?" and just because I was mad that day and I was craving violence, I was like, "Man, fuck this shit. I'm just gonna do this." And I pulled out a knife, and everybody goes like, "Well, you pulled it out. You might as well use it." I said, "Fuck it." I turned around, and he was defending, and in the long run, he was defending himself. Everything that he tried to do back to me, it wasn't self defense. And but it's like I stabbed him 4 times. You know what I mean? It's like I didn't have no reason to do that. It was just an addiction of what I have, that I was addicted to, was doing stuff like that. And a lot of people look at it as like, "Oh, you're just a bad person." No, it's an addiction. Like you do it so long and you feel some type of way when you do it, and then you love the feeling of what happens in that process. It's an addiction. It's not that I
Yeah.
want to do it. It's just
Addiction is not
it
a
makes me.
moral failing, any kind of
No,
addiction, drug addiction,
no,
any
it
kind,
doesn't
none.
matter. It doesn't matter what you have, what you're addicted to. Like I said, I'm addicted to finance, and that's what I'm still struggling with now. I just had a situation 2 days ago on Wednesday. Like my friend that's in my program with me had to distract me for my attention and everything, because like I didn't know who this dude was. I never met him. For some reason I just wanted to hurt him. And my friend, I even like I was control enough to let my friend know, "Hey, look, this is how I'm feeling about this." And he sat there and got my attention the whole ride to where we had to go, and walked with me, like kept my mind busy and talking about stuff that was funny and stuff. And like we watched Sons of Anarchy during like right before class. So he starts talking about that, and he's doing everything to get my mind away from that urge,
Well, that's
you
great.
know. And then like in class on Wednesday, like I like if I didn't want to bring it up or talk about it, I would have never told him. I would have done it. But it's like that's going to be a relapse for me, because I had to think about like if I've done that, yeah, then I relapse pretty much, because it doesn't necessarily have to make it dirty for a drug. It's
Right.
something that it's you're addicted to, and people don't get that thing, like they don't understand like how it feels. Like if I didn't want to change, I wouldn't have told him that, and then I wouldn't have brought it up in my program during processing. Like, "Hey, this is what I was feeling today. This is what happened," and like my whole program supported me and think and give me ways to think about like how to prevent it before next time. Like I had a friend in there. She tells me like, you won't hurt your family or your friends, would you?" I said, "No, it's just random people, like someone I don't care about." And she goes, "Well, put it this way, think about it like that's your that's your family member, or that's someone you care about, or that's someone that you can help in what you're going to school for." Because I'm going back to school for my sudsies. And so she goes, "Think about it that way. That could be someone that you can help, or someone that needs something, or someone that's going through a bad thing, and you're going to end up hurting them. Think about it that way, like the people you can help when you get your degree, or like it's a family
Yeah,
friend, or
absolutely.
or yeah." And I took it into consideration. And a lot of like I do get triggers with violence, and a lot of my triggers have to do with like when I see people acting like they're gang members, or it gets to where like I want to say something, but then like I had coping skills. Like one of my coping skills is like when I feel that way, when I'm out in the streets and I see that and I start feeling that urgency to do violence, I start thinking about like, okay, that's going to get me put back in jail, or that's going to get me to where if I end up, if anything, in the worst case scenario, I can kill that person and lose my life or lose my freedom and something that didn't have to do with anything.
Yeah, and
So
that shows incredible growth that that you were able to do that. I know, like for myself, especially in early recovery, I learned that like if I was feeling like I wanted to get high, and if I said it out loud, hi Kelly, like if I just said it out loud, like if I told somebody, like it like took the power away. Like if I held it inside and I was like thinking in my head, like I want to get high, I want to get high, I want to get high, it ate me up. But if I just said it out loud and then obviously they'll be like, you don't want to do that. And then I would like laugh at myself because it's like saying it out loud takes its power away for me. So like that, or like tell somebody, obviously they can talk you down, and it's great that you have people in your life that could do that like that. And it's incredible that, to think about, like, how you said you were like in a life of crime and even organized crime and years in prison, and look at today, like how, where you're sitting, you're in a program that you found that is like extremely successful for you, and you're well on your way, and going back to school and getting your life back together, repairing things with your mother. Like, it's just incredible to see like how far people can come. It is 7 o'clock. That's why I cut you off, and I'm so sorry. You are welcome to come back. I would love for you to come back and tell the rest of your story, because I know that you weren't finished. I had to cut you off.
yeah,
But
that's all good.
and I'm gonna be on a TikTok live. I think it was 7:15, 7:30 ish. If anybody wants to join, you're free to pop in and join if you want, just to get on there and
Yeah, I
kick
go,
it.
I go listen. Sometimes I don't press to join in. I just sit back and listen to what you guys talk about.
Yeah,
So
hey, you're absolutely, that's fine. We did have Trinity did say that when she can't control her thoughts, say like a prayer, like serenity prayer, and or something, just to like ground yourself, bring yourself back down, or just say something out loud, bring yourself to
yeah,
reality.
it's always good. Like if you have a support group, or that's why that we have sponsors. It's that you can reach out to them and let them know, hey, look, this is how I'm feeling, and they could talk you out of it.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Tyler. I really, really enjoyed your story. And like I said, we if you are interested in coming back again, we'll get together and make that happen, because I'd love to hear the rest of your story.
All
I had
right,
some questions wrote down and stuff, even that some things to talk about. So we'll see you next time. Thanks
all right. Have a
everybody
good
for
day.
watching, guys. We'll be tomorrow 1:30 live. I will have Trinity. She's actually watching right now. And like I said, we'll be on a live in about 15-30 minutes. Anybody wants to join in, just talk about their day. See you guys.
All right, see you guys.
I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my pen ready. Used to hold myself back, my self-esteem damn bad. I gotta keep on chugging, ran through everything.